Wow, I'm so big. Peace, peace. Welcome to KNY7. I just jumped on here real quick. We're going to get right into it. Diddy was just sentenced just moments ago. So he's received a 4 year sentence. He already did a year. Actually, I believe he did more than a year. So they're somewhat calculating that too. So he'll be out in no time. I'm going to go to the clip now. Not clip, but law and law and crime.
Behind bars? Was it the nature
Let me go
of these
real
charges?
quick.
You know, as
We
much as we
just found
say
out.
that look,
We just found out.
the judge was not convinced to throw out the charges, right? The defense put forward that motion saying transportation to engage in prostitution should be thrown out. This is not prostitution. It's protected by the First Amendment. The judge didn't buy it, but the
is a conviction. 11 years makes sense. It checks out. I agree with the prosecution. But to what Serena said earlier, perhaps, and we do have a new.
I think we have the official sentence right now for Sean Diddy Combs. After being convicted of 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution, the judge has just said, here the data shows a wide variety of sentences. Weighing all of the relevant factors, the court determines that the sentence is 50 months of incarceration. So 50 months of incarceration is a little over 4 years. It's 4.16 years in prison. Now, that is a bit lower than what the range was of 5 to 7 years, Sierra. Let's start there. If I'm reading this correct, and we're talking 50 months, and we have another update coming in. I'm just waiting to see what it is. But right now, it appears that Sean Combs has officially been sentenced to 50 months of incarceration, so 4 years in prison. You talk about time served, right? About a year. Are we talking now then 3 years, right, Sierra?
Yeah, so about 3 more years based on the 1 year that he has already served. And I guess, it is a win for P. Diddy and that the government asked for 11. You know, the recommendation was 5 to 7, which a lot of us guessed would happen. Yes, he wanted to be out today. That was his goal. The defense, of course, wanting the 14 months. But 3 years compared to the 11 that the judge says, yeah, that's warranted. There's a huge difference in the range there, more than a decade versus less than half of a decade. We've got another update, Jesse, back to you.
Yep. Serena, Sean Combs was sentenced to 50 months of incarceration by Judge Subramanian, so a little over 4 years. That minus the 14 months already served. Is that the appropriate sentence, Serena?
Well, I'm sure Diddy is not thrilled to not walk out today, but he should be pretty happy with his defense team because I think the judge giving less than half of the prosecutor's recommendation and also less than what the pre-sentence report had said is a win for him. I do believe that 4 years is a win in this particular case.
Joe, what did it? Was it his letter? Was it the letters of family? Was it the children speaking? Was it the work that he's doing behind bars? Was it the nature of these charges? You know, as much as we say that look, the judge was not convinced to throw out the charges, right? The defense put forward that motion saying transportation to engage in prostitution should be thrown out. This is not prostitution. It's protected by the First Amendment. The judge didn't buy it. But the argument, hey, he wasn't convicted of racketeering. He wasn't convicted of sex trafficking, just the prostitution charges. Can't create a disparity based on other defendants who are sentenced. Maybe 4 years is appropriate and won't be overturned on appeal.
Yeah, I think he had to position this a certain way. And there's a couple things to figure in. First of all, we got to go back to the fact that the defense did an enormous job in getting him off of the most serious charges, right? So we're talking about something that's going to be smaller and it's going to be less time anyway. Next, there's a probation department recommendation, right? Which put things at a certain place. And it sounded like even though the judge talked about how 11 years wouldn't have necessarily been unreasonable, and he said 14 months would have been entirely unreasonable if I am hearing it correctly, he still is in line in that he doesn't want to do something that'll necessarily be appealable, and he wants to arrive somewhere not too far afield from the recommendations themselves. And so, again, here's Diddy in a situation where he did a lot better than he might have. And, that 3 years is going to go by in no time. And the day that he was found guilty of most of everything, it ensured that he would have a date that he would get home at some point anyway. So he will get home. He's better off than he may have been, than a lot of people would have been, even though he's not coming home today.
Serena, does he serve the full 3 years, or does he serve 85%? In other words, would he serve 2.5 years?
So there is opportunity for him to get out earlier on good behavior. And so the calculation is not exact. And time will tell whether he will be getting out with some time off from the full 3. I know it's a 4-year sentence. Obviously, the 14 months counts. You already deduct that. I mean, that's definitely coming off because he does have credit for the time served. So already it's less than the sentence that he's getting, the 4 years. But yeah, he could very easily be walking out sooner rather than later. So the children will have their father home sooner than they expected. And as Joe mentioned before, he can be on his comeback tour, in no time.
We had a poll up. What do you think Diddy's sentence will be? So 31% said less than 5 years. They were correct. It's interesting as we're processing the sentence of 4 years, time served 3, maybe 85%, so 2.5, 3 years to serve behind bars. I wonder if he's actually going to now have to serve it at the MDC because it's it's a lesser sentence than we were anticipating. I will say the court imposes a fine of $500,000, including to defray the costs of imprisonment. There is no restitution, but there is forfeiture as reflected in the order. There is a $5,000 fine under the statute and a special assessment of $200. Sierra, I go to you. This is interesting because I also wonder what the reaction is going to be outside that courthouse in a few minutes. What we're going to hear from the attorneys, what we're going to hear from supporters of Sean Combs, what we might be hearing from potential victims or people who are there opposed to Sean Combs. Are you seeing anything outside since the sentence has been read?
You know what's interesting, Jesse? After the verdict came down, you could feel it in the air. It was, intense. You could actually feel the emotion. Now that the sentence has been handed down, it seems to me like no one around us actually knows that it was handed down. I mean, it did just happen. We're probably one of the first ones to report it at all, but there's been no commotion. There's been no cheering. There's been no free Diddy, in support of Diddy. There's been no opposition to Diddy. That has been pretty interesting to me overall. I mean, as far as what we're going to hear from the attorneys, I said this about the verdict, and I'm going to say it about this too. I think it's a win for P. Diddy. I mean, the fact that he was up against this RICO charge, the racketeering conspiracy, had he been convicted of that, he could have faced essentially the rest of his life behind bars. Now he had pretty much the lowest charge that he was convicted of, this transportation to engage in prostitution. And now, based on what Serena is saying with the 4 years, and maybe he could serve less based on, good behavior, etc., I'm going to say that's a huge win for Diddy, especially when his life was in the balance. And I wonder if that's what we're going to hear. I wonder if prosecutors are going to say, we asked for the 11 years. The judge says it was warranted, and yet we didn't get the 11 years. And I wonder if the defense is going to say, it's still too much. It's far too long. Get him out with his children. We're going to appeal. I mean, so there's still a lot ahead.
Well, first of all, the judge said this is, quote, hard time, but also indicated that he's going to have a life after prison. He'll be 59, 60 years old, potentially, probably 59 years old. The judge says, I want to speak to the strong women who came forward. Miss Ventura and Jane, you've been through trauma we can't imagine. Miss Ventura said it was forced sex and degradation. I want to say, we heard you. You weren't just speaking to the jurors, but to other victims. You stood up to power. It's not easy. Violence behind closed doors doesn't have to stay secret forever. I know you still bear trauma, but you've taught us you don't have to stay a victim. Now, Serena, that is important. That's an important statement from the judge here, because there are those who will look at this and say, this is not enough time, that this doesn't recognize what the victims went through in a case like this, particularly Cassie, when we talk about the video that was shown. It's felt very deliberate on the part of the judge, but to be clear, the prosecution doesn't have grounds to appeal this. Oh, the judge said 11 years, gave 4. They can't fight this, right?
Correct. They can't. And I agree with you that it does seem like the judge was issuing a little bit of an apology to the women, to Cassie, to the victims for this sentence, which is an interesting point. I mean, the judge obviously knows that unlike most cases, this will be publicized one way or another. People will have very strong opinions about the fact that a 4-year sentence really calculates to basically like 2.5 more years in prison for Diddy, which does feel probably to the victims a little bit like a slap on the wrist. So I do think that that statement was necessary from the judge. I don't know that it's going to fix the feelings that Cassie and others may be feeling right now.
Joe, we have a question from Jane Elaine. The judge specifically mentioned that he exploited women, but that wasn't the charge. So does he have grounds to appeal and get the sentence overturned?
No, I don't think that he will. Again, there's a lot of crossover in terms of some of the things that occurred. It is. There's an argument. This is a form of exploitation,
So
transferring somebody.
he pause that for a second. Yes. So he received 4 years. They counted it out to like 50 months or whatever. We want to know the years. He has to serve 4 years. Sean Diddy Combs. Most people know who he is. He's a CEO of a lot of music artists. He also had charter schools in New York. He's straight out of New York City. They just wrapped things up just moments ago, and he does have to do the 4 years, but that's still compared to having to do a dozen years or more. So he still made out good. I appreciate the people that are here. And if you're hearing it here first, I appreciate if you at least hit the like button. It's an open chat rooms, just try to be respectful. That's all I ask. He does have time served already. So if you think about it, he's been in there, I think over a year, I think. So you would look at like a few years or around a few years or less, he's gonna be home. He's gonna be home. No, clap your own cheeks. Yeah, but he's gonna be home. Pedos. Well, he's definitely not a pedo. I know people like to throw underage girls on him, but no, that's your Uncle Epstein. Some of y'all might be close relation to
Across
him.
state lines, transporting
Don't
them
be mad.
for purposes of prostitution. So I don't think that there would be grounds just because of the words that he used in this context. And again, there's a lot of gray area here in terms of the crossover between the crimes. There are some larger statements to be made. Not every statement that he made is within the confines of the trial of what he was tried and convicted of. So in other words, if he was to say, for instance, Diddy, you've done some bad things. Well, yeah, he has done some bad things, and he's talking generally about the fact that he's done some things that are reprehensible, etc. So not every word he's going to use. I think there's an argument that he did exploit women. I think that it is a form of exploitation to transport someone across state lines, etc. So there's not going to be this technical violation for using that word as an example.
You think about what he's about to go through here, Serena. By all accounts, the way that he described it in his letter, today in general, it was hell. I mean, he went through a year of hell in that MDC. No, no sympathy there, but you think about what he's going to go through now, maybe potentially another 3 years of that, whether it's there or another facility. What is his life going to look like now?
Well, MDC is really a hellhole, like you mentioned. But the truth of the matter is everybody who's incarcerated there goes through that, not just Sean Diddy Combs. He does have this platform to kind of educate people now about the prison conditions and jail conditions, and that's great. But it's not like he's special. It's not like he's unique. Everybody who gets accused of a crime and detained while facing those charges has to go through that. His life is going to be not so great. I mean, if he goes upstate, it'll probably be better than it has been at MDC, to be honest with you. He'll probably have better treatment upstate than he will have, than he's.
So she touched on the type of treatment. I used to work at the jail where I got to see which facility he's going to. I did some work at Albany County Jail and was it Rensselaer? There is a difference in some of the prisons and jails. The further upstate you go, there's some things that are better than for whatever reason the treatment and usually the conditions too. So I just wanted to touch on that. I know personally because I used to help run programs at the jail.
Had at MDC. That being said,
Thank you,
obviously he's
subscriber.
going to be isolated. He's not going to have his freedom. He's not going to have this publicity, where he goes to court and everybody talks about him. So hopefully he'll have some time to reflect on all of this. Maybe he'll do some good back there. He'll help some fellow inmates. Entertain them or whatever else it is. And then when he comes out, hopefully he'll be changed. But it does seem like quite a short period of time for him to be able to change behind the bars back there.
Judge Arun Subramanian just said this to Sean Combs, that he's likely in a dark place right now, but, quote, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. These letters, all those letters that I saw, show that you have a universe of people who love you.
Free
Let them lift
Diddy.
you up now, just like you've lifted them up for so many years. Sierra, this is from a human point of view. I have to tell you, from a legal point of view, I'll tell you, Judge Arun Subramanian, throughout the course of this trial, I was very impressed with his rulings. I was very impressed with his demeanor, how he handled such a high-profile case with difficult subject matter. And to take the time to address both Sean Combs and to address the victims in this case in a very particular way, it says a lot about this judge. And I have to just tell you, from a personal point of view, I was very impressed with the way that he handled it. What's your take on this?
It's interesting that you bring that up, Jesse, because today, being back here in the Southern District of New York, I'm kind of going back in my mind and reviewing the case as a whole. I mean, I know I covered it every day. You did, Elizabeth did. So we all were kind of immersed in all of this. And I was thinking about how Judge Arun Subramanian really had the weight of the world on.
So they're talking about the judge's demeanor, the way he handled the case. They said people were crying in court before the verdict was read. The family members, his kids were there. I don't know if y'all saw that, but I'm going to go back to the beginning so we could see that. But I'm going to let this finish playing. He received 50 months, so that's 4 years. There's still people coming in asking how much time did he get? 4 years. He's already been in there over a year, about a year. So he's going to be out of here soon. Well, he's going to be out of there soon. So it'll be like no time. Thank you, new subscribers. So I get my plug in. I talk about things that mostly do with the inner community, usually with melanated people, Black folks, okay? And astrology, a little bit of astrology that goes into astronomy. So I do astros here, things to do with spirituality and sexuality. Interested in any of that, this could be the channel that you would enjoy. Universal topics too, sometimes as they come. You know what I'm saying? I don't be all over the place. It needs to like have a purpose, and we could vibe off of that. That's what we do here.
His shoulders today when it comes to the sentencing in terms of how much is at stake. And I was thinking back to all the rulings that he had previously made, and I felt that he was very diplomatic. I mean, I didn't personally see any sort of wild favoritism for one side or another. I thought that it was interesting today that he ruled that the victims were victims, that he was going to take into consideration some of the testimony in regards to, the RICO charge, the racketeering conspiracy, in regards to this conviction on the transportation to engage in prostitution. But I do think he did a very good job of being fair, addressing Diddy, saying this isn't the end of the line for you. You said that you had remorse. You said that there was reform. You still can do that, while also acknowledging the huge amount of trauma that these victims have had to endure on a public stage, no less. This is, one of the most high-profile cases we've ever covered here on Law and Crime, and I think he did so very eloquently.
So the judge, by the way, later on, we're going to have Elizabeth Milner out, and we're going to do a special sidebar episode with her because I want to know what it was like in that courtroom when this sentence was handed down. I want to know what it was like when Sean Combs delivered his words. So we're definitely going to get her on to talk about that. What I do want to say, I want to thank everybody for coming on, and I want to get some final thoughts. So, Serena, I'll start with you. It's been a long day. It's been a long 2 years since this all began, really. It's been a long trial. Your thoughts on this?
Well, I think it's the end of a very long chapter, as you said. I think that the trial was comprehensive. I think the sentencing date was comprehensive. I do think that every single box was checked throughout this entire experience. It didn't feel rushed. It didn't feel like anybody dropped any balls, really. I mean, everybody fought for their side of the argument. And the judge, I agree with you, was listening and made rulings throughout that seemed thoughtful and based on law. So look, I think that the judge came in with probably what he expected to say and didn't change what the sentence he anticipated giving was. I think that the sentence feels a little low. But I also understand that the defense did a nice job at making sure that Diddy was not convicted of the worst of the worst. And we're left with two crimes that really don't carry necessarily the lengthiest of sentences. So I think the judge tried to balance out everybody's arguments, look at the probation report, and kind of meet somewhat in the middle, but gave Diddy a little bit of a boost there.
Darling 618 asked me, Jesse, do you think this was fair? I don't know if fair is the word I would use. Do I understand it? Absolutely. Absolutely. This was not going to be a situation where he was going to get 20 years in prison. He wasn't convicted of the most serious charges. So without coupling that, without tying that to the prostitution charges, it mitigates it. It makes it less of a crime. But the amount of times that he did this, the level of violence that was used, the deception that was used, the aggravating factors that contribute to it, I understand that he's not getting out of prison today. The idea of 14 months, it was a stretch. So it seems that from the statements from his family, the work that he's been doing, the impact he can have on the outside, it seems that the judge believes him, that he can be a
All right, so yeah, 4 years. He just has about a few more years to serve. That's it. Just keep in mind, everybody that was so against Diddy, a lot of y'all still against Diddy now. You haven't proven your case either. They're going by the facts and they're going by the law. He really shouldn't have done any time. He could have did some time for Cassie, but that should have been a while back. And that wouldn't even been much because they still kept dealing with each other to the point where people knew that there was friction on her end too and things that she did to him. Maybe one day that'll come to life. So it's not like we're just making it up to cover for Diddy. I'm not getting nothing out of covering for Diddy. I get something out of the truth. You drag this man and made more out of his sex parties than anything. A lot of y'all would probably join the parties, but y'all be fronting. Y'all be hating on New York for some reason. The verdict is in. That's it. He's going to be pissed because he was hoping to come home today. Y'all got to understand, October 6th, he was going to Miami to do an interview. I believe it was in Miami. He was going there as of October 6th. So he was already planning to hopefully come home today. And in 3 days, he was going to do an interview. Need to do one with me. So that's that. I want to go back outside the courtroom live now because we should get an update from the attorneys and all that once they come out of the courtroom. So maybe we could catch some of that while I'm, still on here. If anyone wants to add to something too, there's a link and there's a phone line too in the chat. Regardless of how you feel about it, if you just want to express yourself, you can feel free to do so. I don't go back and forth in chats. I have a little bit, but I try to eliminate all that. Got something to say, speak on it. Don't gangster type with me. I'll be done put up your IP address. He's no man, he's a mouse. He's a piece of fish. You need to be locked up with him. Now, maybe your uncle need to be locked up with him, though. Got some haters. Where the real ones at that need to stand up with New York? Always coming against NY. Where's the real ones at? Where's the real men that know how to do research? Of course, you don't put your hands on a woman. I'm not saying that. But where's the people that did their research that really give your opinion, not just on feelings? You know what I'm saying? You men are just so, a lot of y'all just be so in y'all feelings, and then y'all be thinking that you're more of a man than somebody else because you could type some stuff in somebody's chat. That ain't doing nothing. That ain't doing nothing. Honestly, what he's done for the community, he's done charter schools, he's always fundraising, he's done way more good in the community than bad from where I see it. You see anything different, hit the link or call or forever hold your peace. Nobody gonna be doing what you're saying all the time. He's done more than what y'all would do if you even had the opportunity. Some of y'all, I know it's good people in the chat because I can't just attract bad ones. That would be really weird. What has anyone else done in the community that they can call or even say, hey, I did this. I did something in the community. You know how many millionaires are out here that don't give a damn about y'all and nobody else? Come on, Diddy put his money where his mouth was. That's what he did. But everybody stays quiet about the good he does in the community, the good he's done. Law and Crime mentioned it. I should get to that part too. He inspired the guy on Law and Crime that y'all was just watching. Is that Ryan? Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, he will be out in a few years or less because he already served some time, so they're going to count that, and then you deduct that from the 4 years, or if you want to consider it 50 months that he was sentenced to. Yeah. All I say is just do your research or just be honest with yourselves. That's all I like anyway. The other ones, they can go. They fake. They phony. There's too many fake people on YouTube. Fake people been dragging this man, and y'all be paying them to do it, paying super chat, all type of weirdo stuff, just to drag somebody because it felt fun to y'all. Like he don't have kids and stuff. That's crazy. I'm telling you, some of y'all that like to date, y'all date online. What's saving y'all from being in a position where somebody will be with you for years, leave, come back to you, and then say, all this happened. I'm having nightmares. Da, 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 da. Like, this could happen to any one of y'all, and y'all would be begging for somebody to pick up your story. Begging for justice, begging to tell people, like, no, listen to both sides of the story. You can't just listen to one side. When did we start just listening to one side of the story? Y'all don't know what that feels like being a man, a black man in the court, even with money. He said, I'll give you 50 million. Will you let me out? They said, no, your money's no good here. Y'all better start realizing it's a sabotage going on. Some of your favorites are going to be next. That's when you're going to feel it. That's when you're going to be like, oh, okay, I think I kind of get it. Are you crazy? You have consensual, fun, fabulous, or whatever, or freaky deaky freak offs. Everyone's entitled to do what they want to do as an adult. Don't feel prosecuted. You can't be prosecuted. That's why we suppress our sexual energies as it is now. Scared to tell somebody what you into. Don't know how people gonna take it, or people gonna talk about you, and it ain't nothing abnormal even about it. But we not being honest with each other. You would think some of y'all never had sex before because you put down other people because of the way they engage with their sexuality. Maybe some of the stuff that other people do is boring to other people. They just want to explore some things. That's probably what a lot of it is. You can't be mad at them. Everybody got likes and dislikes. That's weird. Right. He will be out within a couple of years. He's going to be right back out here. He's going to be right in the streets. We're going to have a big old party, probably everything. And y'all probably want to go. Anybody in chat want to go to the party? Oh, well, justice will serve. Because I felt like he had to do some time. They was going to make him do some time. But he shouldn't have had to do no more. I think the judge felt like he had to give some of the people what they want. He felt like, I can't just let him walk out of here. I'll never hear the end of it. But 4 years versus 20, 11, any of that? No way. No way. Some of y'all thought he was going to get 20 years or something. No, no. Tuck yourself in tonight. Tuck yourself in tonight. He got a few years and we're done. And we're done. He could be an a-hole. What are you? He ain't did nothing wrong to none of y'all. You're judging him off of what the media has portrayed it and what content creators were hyped up, paid, promoted, and boosted to say. So smaller people like me that's been saying not guilty, you don't hear us. You're part of the system too. I get it. It's a lot of setup going on. That's all. That's all. Y'all want to go back?
Time served, 3 years. There are people who think it's too low. There's people who think it's too high. I will just say I understand it based on the law. Joe, I give you the word.
As it pertains to my thoughts, I thought that the judge was very fair all the way throughout, very thoughtful, did things the right way, and showed that he was thoughtful even when it came to this this final decision. There are victims here, and their job is to get through from day to day, even though with what they've gone through, they may never get over those things. And that's something that they always have to live with, and that my heart goes out to them because of that. Diddy was morally wrong all day long for all of these things, and on some level, he was legally wrong, but he had very good attorneys that ensured that he had a date. That means that one day he will get out. And the final thing that I'll say is that P. Diddy actually still has the opportunity to do everything he said he was going to do upon being released. It's not happening as soon as he wants it to, but take those same words that he just said to the judge and realize that basically the jury has already accepted that on some level, in that he was found not guilty on the most serious crimes. And he's going to get an opportunity to see if he's that guy, and he's forever changed, and he has learned his lesson. So years from now, we'll be able to have this discussion and say, did he really mean what he said at that point, or was he saying that just to get out in the moment? Time will tell. He still has every opportunity from a resource standpoint, even though he'll take a hit. If he doesn't have resources, he certainly knows how to get them. He can still turn this story into a positive. I don't believe his life is shattered as much as some of the victims are, to be perfectly honest with you. He has the opportunity to do everything he says he would do if he was released, because he's going to be released. So we'll see.
And let me leave it here. The judge had said to Sean Combs,
check 1, 2, you good, Vic? Everybody good? You need any more?
Listen to this guy doing the mic check. Come on, did he do it? Did he did it? Hold on. Oh, never mind. He was being funny. All right, here we go. We got attorneys getting ready to come out. I think she's about to speak. 1 second.
had in fact participated and sometimes had sexual interaction. My clients who allege that he sexually assaulted them, and also I represent a number of victims or alleged victims who spoke to law enforcement, the prosecutors, but the court did not allow many of the witnesses who were willing to testify, probably because of judicial economy, because the trial would have been very long. I don't know. 148 months is what the sentence was. I think the judge was very thoughtful. He didn't do the 11 years that the prosecutor wanted, and nor did he do the 14 months that the defense wanted. So Mr. Combs will be in prison for a while. He basically had a lot of good things to say, the judge did, about Mr. Combs and his contribution to the community over many years and to racial justice. But on the other hand, he has to pay the price for what he did. He could have had 10 years for each of the 2 counts of the violation of the Mann Act, which is going across state lines for the purpose of prostitution. So I think all in all, he gave the sentence that was recommended by the probation office. And so that's somewhere in between what the prosecution wanted and what the defense wanted. So it's finally over, except that there will be appeal, of course, by Mr. Combs' very large legal team, and so we'll see what happens on appeal. Yeah, the argument was by the defense that that really this was just watching sex, and so that's free speech. But the judge did not agree to that argument. It wasn't about filming. He said you can't launder an illegal act into a constitutional right, because that would otherwise be a very narrow interpretation of the Mann Act. So it was about committing a crime, because he pointed out that Mr. Combs had in fact participated and sometimes had sexual interaction with Jane and also with Cassie. So it wasn't just about watching, he actually participated in it. So I think he's got a good argument, and I don't think that the defense has a good argument on appeal. So he could have gotten 20 years, 10 years consecutively for each count, and now he has 148 months for a sentence. Many of my clients were very concerned that he might walk free by the end of this year, time served, and then a couple more months. And they were very much afraid that he would retaliate against them. And so I think that they will be happy that he will be at least in prison for a number of years. I think they'll feel comforted on that. So thank you. Okay, all right.
All right, so y'all just heard from attorney Lisa Bloom. I call her Captain Save-A-Hole. She's notorious for representing women that they have no evidence of anything. They'll just say, hey, this guy did this to me, this guy did that to me, and she loves to take on cases, especially if it's a celebrity case. She started out doing quiet cases. She's been doing this for this was I gotta fire up my battery. I'm gonna have to get off, and that's fine. That was in the beginning. That's when everyone was coming in and everything. But Law and Crime has been doing very good coverage. They were the first ones up, one of the first ones to break any of the news. So that was good. Appreciate y'all being here. It's Kai Y7, and y'all take care and be safe. That pretty much wraps it up. And hope to see y'all back. Peace.
Of view, from a human point of view, could the judge be persuaded that this is a guy who's really learned his lesson, that could be a force of good, that he wasn't convicted of racketeering and sex trafficking, that while transportation to engage in prostitution is a serious crime, and there were elements of violence and drugs that were a part of it, and this happened many times, that perhaps he should not have to spend a significant portion of his life now in prison?
Al Green. Okay. I'm so in love with you. Oh, whatever you want to do. Shut the fuck up! Hey! What, Tony? It's alright with me. Uh-oh. 'Cause you.
Oh, thank you.
You need to leave?
No, bitch. Okay.
What? Sorry. You know what? Jojo, what? Boy. Jojo, what? Boy. Somebody give me the light. Give me light. Give me light. Give me light. Boy. Give me light. 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 Light. Light.
Good deal. A romantic night in a Wienermobile. What?
Choice practice pulls. Practice pulls? What the hell was that? You know, practice pulls for the ladies. Why don't you just practice on the ladies? Yeah, that's a weird stretch. Hey, man, what the hell are you doing, man? You trying to take advantage of the cheek scramble? Dick all in your stomach, pull your hair, slap your ass. You better not do no running. I'm putting dick all in your stomach. Dick all in your stomach, pull your hair, slap your ass. Bitch, you better not do no running. I say dick down. I dick you down, dick you down. Take it all the way back so you can maximize the pump. Booty, booty. Hey, girl, don't deny yourself these maximized pump.
Those are some of my latest video shorts. Some of them. Check out my shorts sometimes. Like lift you up a little. And I'll check y'all another time for another live stream. I do plan on having my live stream set for tomorrow, which is Saturday. It'll be October 4th. There's a lot of mysterious black murders going on, so I have quite a bit of content to cover with that for us to just kind of investigate, look into, and discuss. The 3-Eye Atlas is entering our solar system, so I'm looking forward for that for the rest of the day. All right, y'all take care, and I appreciate the positivity, the positive ones, and those that do help support the channel in some kind of way. Always appreciate it. Peace.
Kai NY 007. Shout out EYNY7. EYNY7.